My name is Mike, and I work as a night security guard in an old warehouse in Portland. I've always been a tough guy, not scared of much. But what happened that night completely changed my view on fear. I'm going to tell you what went down, and then you can decide if you'd have the guts to stay in my place. It was one of those cold, rainy nights. The warehouse where I worked was really old, full of stories and urban legends. They said it used to be a slaughterhouse, but that never bothered me. My shift started at 10 p.m. and went until 6 a.m. Basically, I just walked the halls, checked the security cameras, and made sure no punks broke in. That specific night, something felt different. Since I arrived, I felt a heavy vibe in the air. My boss had warned me that there had been some thefts in the area and to keep an eye out. I went into the security room, put my coffee on the table, and started monitoring the cameras. Everything seemed normal, just rain and more rain outside. Around midnight, I started hearing some weird noises. It sounded like someone was messing with the metal doors of the warehouse. I grabbed my flashlight and went to check it out. When I got outside, there was nothing there. I thought it might just be my imagination playing tricks because of the stories about the place. I went back inside and continued my rounds. The clock struck 2 a.m. and that's when things started to get really paranoid. I looked at the cameras and saw a guy standing at the entrance of the warehouse. He was wearing a hood, all wet, staring right at the camera. That gave me chills. I grabbed my radio and called the boss, but got no answer. I think the rain was interfering with the communication, so I decided I had to handle it myself. I grabbed my baton and headed to the entrance. When I got there, the guy was gone. I started walking the halls, my flashlight the only thing lighting the way. The place was dead silent, just the sound of my footsteps and the rain hitting the roof. Suddenly, I heard a metal clattering sound. I went in the direction of the noise and saw one of the shelves had been knocked over. At this point, I was pretty paranoid, thinking someone had actually broken in. I kept walking, slowly, trying not to make much noise. Then I saw him. The hooded guy was standing in the middle of the hall, staring at me. My heart raced, but I tried to stay calm. I pointed my flashlight at him and asked what he wanted. The guy didn't answer, just kept staring at me with an empty look. I started walking towards him, but before I could get close, he disappeared, like vanished into thin air. That really messed with me. I ran back to the security room and checked the cameras. There was no sign of the guy anywhere. I started questioning if I had really seen it or if I was losing my mind. But I knew it wasn't my imagination. Those shelves didn't fall on their own. While I was reviewing the footage, I heard a loud noise coming from upstairs. It sounded like someone was dragging something heavy. I climbed the stairs slowly, trying not to make any noise. When I got up there, I saw the storage room door was open. I went in and saw several boxes had been moved. Suddenly the door slammed shut. I ran to try and open it, but it was locked. The hooded guy appeared again, standing in the corner of the room. He started walking towards me and I braced myself to face him, but when he got close, he just disappeared again. At that moment I started doubting my sanity. I panicked. All I wanted was to get out of there as fast as possible. I spent the next few minutes trying to open the door, but it was locked from the outside. After a long struggle, I heard the boss's voice on my radio. He was asking where I was. I managed to respond, and he came to let me out. I told him what had happened, but he didn't really believe me. He said I was just tired and should go home and rest. I left the warehouse with my head spinning, trying to understand what I had seen. In the days that followed, I became obsessed with finding out who that guy was. I reviewed all the footage, talked to colleagues, but no one knew anything. I started researching the warehouse and discovered that years ago, a security guard had been killed there during a robbery. The descriptions of the guy matched exactly what I had seen. Since that night, I was never the same. I asked for a transfer to another post and never went back to the warehouse. But to this day, when I remember that night, I get the feeling that Guy is still there waiting for his next victim. That was my experience as a night security guard in Portland. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like and comment on what you thought. See you in the next video. My name is Dave, and I'm a forest ranger here in Portland. Most of the guys who do my job prefer the daytime shift, but not me. I've always been a night owl. I guess I got used to it after years of working in bars before becoming a forest ranger. Plus, the nights in the forest always seemed calmer and more peaceful, a good opportunity to reflect on life. But that peace was shattered in a way I'll never forget. Everything started on a Tuesday night. The sky was clear and starry, and the full moon lit up the forest in an almost magical way. My shift started at 7 p.m. and went until 6 a.m. Normally, I spent that time patrolling the trails, checking to make sure everything was in order and that no campers were lost or needed help. On that specific night, there was a strange feeling in the air. It was like the forest itself was watching me. My senses were on high alert, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The first strange thing happened around midnight. I was walking on one of the more isolated trails when I heard a loud noise, like something big was moving between the trees. It sounded different from any animal I'd ever heard before. I grabbed my flashlight and went to check it out. As I got closer to the sound, I saw something that gave me chills. There were claw marks on the trees, deep and fresh. It looked like something huge and powerful had passed through there. I kept following the marks, more intrigued and a bit scared. When I reached a small clearing, I saw footprints on the ground. They were too big for any common animal in the forest. At least I had never seen footprints like those before. From that moment, my night got weirder and weirder. I kept following the footprints, which led me to a part of the forest I had never explored. The vegetation was dense, and the moon barely lit the path. I started hearing strange sounds like whispers, but I couldn't tell where they were coming from. My heart was racing, and every step felt like it was taking me deeper into a nightmare. Suddenly, I saw a faint light in the distance. I thought it might be a lost camper, so I hurried up. When I got closer, I saw the light was coming from some sort of cave. I entered the cave cautiously, trying not to make too much noise. The light seemed to be coming from the back of the cave, and I started down a steep, narrow path. Inside, I found something that defied all logic. There were strange symbols on the walls, like someone had performed an ancient ritual there. In the center of the cave, there was some sort of altar, with candles lit and bones scattered around. I felt a chill in my stomach, but I couldn't back down. I needed to find out what was going on. That's when I heard a low, menacing growl. I turned around and saw a huge creature, part man, part beast, staring at me. Its eyes glowed in the darkness, and I could see its sharp teeth gleaming in the candlelight. Frozen with fear, I couldn't move. The creature took a step toward me and growled again, this time louder. Suddenly, everything made sense. The claw marks on the trees, the footprints, the whispers in the forest. I was dealing with something beyond human understanding, something I should never have encountered. I gathered all the strength I had and started running back the way I came. I heard the creature chasing me, its heavy steps echoing in the cave. I managed to get out of the cave and run back to the trail, but the creature didn't give up. I ran like never before, my flashlight swinging and lighting the path irregularly. The sound of the creature's steps followed me, getting closer and closer. In a moment of desperation, I hid behind a tree and stayed silent, trying to control my breathing. After a few minutes that felt like an eternity, the sound of the steps faded away. I waited a bit longer before leaving my hiding spot and running back to the base. When I finally got there, I was panting and covered in sweat. I told the story to my colleagues, but no one believed me. They said I must have been tired or imagined it all. In the days that followed, I tried to find some logical explanation for what I had seen. I researched local legends and discovered that many years ago, the area where I found the cave was considered sacred by a native tribe. They believed that a guardian spirit protected the forest and that no one should enter that cave. After that experience, I decided I couldn't keep working the night shift. I asked to switch to the daytime shift, but I never managed to forget what I saw that night. To this day, I avoid that part of the forest and get chills just thinking about what might be hiding there. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like and comment on what you thought. See you in the next video.